Hey guys, what's up? This is RyGuyGaming here today, and today we're gonna do something a little different with our Roblox tutorials, and I am actually going to be teaching you Lua. So instead of giving you guys scripts that you can copy down or copy and paste into your own game, I am going to be teaching you how you can make your own scripts. Because of course, if you plan on making a game, learning how to script is absolutely essential. I can't show you how to make every single part of your game, and you might not find everything you want in free models, especially judging by the amount of suggestions I get. So what I'm going to do with this series is I'm going to teach you guys Lua. Now, I wouldn't say I'm like an expert teacher, and I wouldn't even say I'm an expert in Lua. It's probably the programming language I have the second least experience with. I have about, let me think, I learned C# when I was 14, so I taught myself from a book. So I have about 7 years of C# experience. I have probably about 5 years of Lua, maybe a little less, and then about a year of Python. But I probably know way more Python than I do Lua, just because I don't really do a lot with Lua besides program Roblox, and in all honesty, that's not the most difficult thing to do. So hopefully these tutorials should go fairly well. So in today's video, we aren't going to get into really any scripting right now. We are just going to take a look around this development environment, Roblox Studio, and I'm going to show you a few things that will be essential for scripting and building your place. So, of course, this is Roblox Studio. You guys have seen this before, and I'm pretty sure actually when you open it up, it probably will look more like, let me put all this stuff away. It will probably look more like this, and it might not even have the command bar. And this is awful. You can't do anything with this except you can't even, all you can do is insert parts and objects, but you can't even do anything with them. So the first thing you want to do after downloading Roblox Studio is go into View, and here's what I like. You definitely want the Explorer. You definitely need Properties, so you need these two. You maybe want the Toolbox if you maybe need a free model to look off of and compare code. And if you're working on a really big game, you might want the Game Explorer, but that is not absolutely necessary. In fact, most of the time I don't even use it. I just leave it there just in case. And you maybe want the command bar. It's not 100% necessity. It's just for testing single lines of code, but you definitely want the output. And so let's just go over. I'm sure you guys know what all this stuff does. The Toolbox holds all the models, whether they be free models, free decals, like your stuff, like my models. Like I have a ton of models and decals and stuff. And then the Game Explorer is where it holds, let's say you have a game that has a bunch of different places. You'll be able to edit and switch between those places here and edit how they interact with each other and how you go between them and just how all that works. That's why I don't really use this, because I don't really have any games that require multiple places right now, although I am working on one. Well, I say working on, but I haven't touched it for a while. The command line, like I said, just is basically, if you've ever scripted in Python, it's kind of like your shell. Lua is an interpretive language, which means that it doesn't need to be compiled to run, which means you can type in anything and it will run it immediately, and it doesn't have to go through another program in order to be able to run the code. And so as you can see here, I typed in a command and it did it immediately without me having to do any extra steps. Languages like C++, however, are compiled. C# is compiled, and it takes a little bit longer to start them, but overall performance is better. But obviously, for a game like Roblox, an interpretive language is a better choice so that you can just run your scripts line by line and you don't have to compile the entire game. Now, over here, we have the Explorer window. This is like your hierarchy where everything in your place will be stored. So here you have workspace. Workspace is basically everything you see out here. You have the camera, the terrain, and normally a base plate depending on which world you start with. Next you have players, which stores all the players that enter your game. This does not store the physical player. That gets stored into a model in Workspace. It just stores all the players' data. Next is lighting. This has to do with the sun and the skybox and everything. And I've actually done a few tutorials where we manipulate a few things that have to do with the lighting. Next is the replicated first and replicated storage. We won't really get into those right now. And then we have server script storage. This is where you want to put all the scripts that will run on the server side. So basically just your normal scripts. You used to just put them right into Workspace, but they made a separate service for it. Next, you have the server storage. So this is where you would put stuff on the server side. Like let's say you have a store and the players can buy stuff from the store. The server storage is where you would hold those weapons until the player buys them, and then you would clone them from the server storage and put them into the player's backpack. Up next is the starter GUI, and hopefully we know what that is. That's where the on-screen buttons and elements are stored, and you can mess with those, and they're given to every player as soon as they respawn. The contents of starter GUI is copied into the player. Unless you have a special checkbox checked, then it only copied it into the player when they join the game, but we'll get into that in a later tutorial. Next is the starter pack. This is almost like starter GUI, except it stores tools which are copied into the player's starter gear when they join the game, and starter gear is copied into the backpack whenever the player respawns. Next up, we have the starter player. Now this holds things like the starter player scripts and starter character scripts. So starter character scripts will be copied into the player's model in Workspace. So let's say you want like a custom health regen script, or you want players to have like 0 gravity or something. That's where you would put that script. And then the local scripts are where I usually put stuff like custom key commands like double jump or shift to sprint and stuff like that. Next is the sound service. I don't really do a lot with that. Chat service, same thing. Pretty much the rest of these storages I don't really mess with too much, but they are very useful to have. The HTTP service, I have a tutorial on that with doing like promotional codes if you want to check that out. But anyways, so that is that window. Now next is the properties window, and this is the main part of the video that I wanted to talk about. And I know this video is already pretty long, so thank you for sticking with it if you have. And this kind of comes along with learning any language. There's always kind of like a build up before you can actually get into the good stuff. So I'm really sorry, but if you stick with this, hopefully you'll be able to code at least simple things by the end of this. And maybe we'll actually take a look at a simple script today that just modifies something's property. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a part into Workspace just by right-clicking and going to Insert Part. and we are going to take a look at its properties over here. I hope you can see those because I can't really zoom in on it with my current screen recorder. Maybe Windows will let me do. Oh no, that messed it up. Okay, so I guess I can't zoom in on it, so I apologize for that. But anyways, over here is the properties, and what properties are is they hold basically the characteristics of an object. So this part is an instance of the part object. So basically, out in Roblox there is a object called part, and this is an instance of that object, which basically means like a clone of it or a version of it. And with the properties, we are able to manipulate this instance of an object. So we can change its color, we can change whatever this one is. Apparently they have 2 colors now. Oh, okay. So you can pick an RGB color now. That's cool. I didn't know that. Or you can, there's a lot of stuff you can change. So I really just recommend you go down here and become acquainted with them. If you hold your mouse over a property, it will tell you what they're used for. Some of them, like this one, you can see are grayed out. That means they are read-only. So as you can see, this one, for example, has a class name, which is part, and this basically means what class it is or what object it is. And that's useful like if you're looking through a model and you only want to find parts, or you only want to find scripts or something. And so that comes in really useful. But you can't change that, because if you could, you would technically change what the object is. So I would type in, instead of part there, if I could change it and I typed in script, this part would go away and it would become a script. But obviously that would, you can't really do that, so it's a read-only. But there's just a lot of properties, and basically for the most part, a lot of your scripting on a simple level will be changing properties, handling events that are fired. So like if a player touches something or clicks on something, those are called events. Or the other thing is you can call methods that objects contain. So for example, the humanoid has a set state method that causes it to jump, and you can call that and it will make the humanoid, and it will make the player jump. And so basically those are the things, that's basically all scripting is just calling functions. They're called functions in Lua. Calling functions, handling events, and changing properties. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it, or we would all be master scripters, but you know what I mean. So, before I close out this video, let's just go ahead and do a very simple script. So, I'm going to click on this part, I'm going to go to Insert Object, and I am going to find Script down here. And as you can see over here, it insert the script into my part that I had selected. Now I am going to zoom in on the scripting window so you can see a little bit better, because I actually have this one set up to zoom in. And all we're going to do is make a script that changes this part's color. So first we have to reference the part, and to do that we notice that the script is nested inside of the part. So it's really easy to make a reference to the part. All we have to do is make a reference to the script, the current script. It will always be lowercase script, which basically means like this object that I'm working in right now, .parent. And what a parent is the object on the hierarchy that the current object is nested in. So for example, let me zoom back out. This script, his parent is part, And then you could say it backwards, like part has a child called script. And then you could say this part has a parent, which is workspace. And this workspace has a lot of children, like part, base plate, terrain, and camera. And so hopefully that makes sense. So now we are going to put another dot, and this time we are going to type in BrickColor, which, if you remember, is a property. And then we are going to assign that a value, and we are going to say, how do you do it in Lua? It's BrickColor.new, right? Yes, BrickColor.new. And then in quotes, we're just going to say, I think it's bright red. And now when we run this script, it should just change the brick to red if I typed it incorrectly. And so let's do something else. So let's change another property. So we're going to say script.Parent. This time let's change its transparency, or how much you can see through the brick. So we'll change it to, now this is a percentage, so 0 means opaque or you can't see through it. 1 means completely transparent, and anything in between is kind of like a translucent. So we'll just set it to 0.5 for now. So let's go back out to here and come over here to home on the ribbon, and we're going to just click run. And as you can see, our part, if we look over here, the properties were changed, so the brick color is now bright red and the transparency is now 0.5. And that's going to wrap it up for this tutorial. So just to recap what we did, we went over the development environment. We looked at properties, objects, and we learned a little bit how to we learned about parents and a little bit about how to manipulate properties with scripting. And so obviously we're going to go a lot more in depth. This is just kind of like a get your feet wet episode. And so I really hope you guys enjoyed, and please leave any suggestions to help improve this series, because I'm kind of learning as I'll go. So I'll try not to make too many episodes at the same time, just so I can get feedback from you guys. But if you'd like to keep up with the series, please hit that subscribe button. I will try to keep this fairly consistent, and I hope you guys have a good day today, and I will see you later. Goodbye.